in a situation where you find that a person look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
I have said that.
Welcome back to Daybreak on Trust TV. Well, right now we're switching gears and we're going to take a look at the front pages of the national dailies this morning to see what's going on. Well, as usual, we're going to start with the Daily Trust newspaper. It carries this major headline on the front page: Buhari convenes emergency security meeting as senators dangle impeachment. And her riders here, it says, "You must go, Nigeria must survive," lawmakers tell president. Opposition members give president 6-week ultimatum, and terrorist threat to kidnap Buhari mere propaganda, says the federal government. Other headlines on the front page of the Daily Trust: water bill inconsistent with Nigeria's constitution, says governors. That story is on page 18. And CBN grants national license to Taj Bank. Assistant Commissioner of Police dies in Kwara motorcycle accident. And right there at the bottom of the page, CVR. Voters in last-minute rush, 3 days to deadline. And this comes with riders. Kano, Katsina residents lament long queues and insufficient equipment, while INEC chair evades comment on extension. The details there can be found on page 4. Right below the masthead, Naira crashes to 707 Naira to a dollar as Senate summons Emefiele. Healthcare cost, over 50% of Nigerians falling into poverty, says the WHO. And another headline here that reads, insecurity, 16 states risk major food crisis. That is attributed to the House of Reps. Well, these are the major headlines on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Moving on to the Punch newspaper, we have Naira at the top belt there. Naira falls 34% to 710 Naira. Senate summons Emefiele. The details of that you will find on page 29. Subsidy probes. Rep says 23 oil funds unknown. Details of that story is on page 36. Can's opposition to Muslim ticket godly. This is according to Dogara. It appears this is taking a whole new dimension. Review water bill. State governors tell lawmakers. This is coming from the chairman of Governors Forum, Fayemi. And below, just beside the name marks there, food crisis imminent. House of Reps raises alarm. And the major headlines there: ISWAP, fear spreads. Presidency, senators clash over impeachment threat. Abuja Nasarawa schools shot. Residents fear terrorist attack. Slam FG. Opposition senators give Buhari 6-week ultimatum to end insecurity. Presidency lampoons opposition senators, says they are babyish. There you will find pictures of the second day of NLC strike there with the NLC president, Waba, alongside former senator and activist, Senator Shehu Sani, and other major dignitaries who participated. I think I can also cite the face of Professor Boroface there, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure whether he's there in solidarity or participating independently as a member of the National Assembly. ASU strike, Labour continues protest, slam politicians again. Studying in distress, sad tales of Ogun forgotten school children. Lagos woman with stillbirth steals Oyo benefactor's baby. Bankers, robbers killed as gunmen wheelie bullion van. You'll find that on page 4 and 5. And Abuja policemen invade Lagos house, rob businessman and brother. These are the major headlines from the Punch newspaper.
The next newspaper we're looking at is the Guardian newspaper this morning, and carries this major headline on the front page: insecurity, senators chant Buhari must go. And riders here to give president impeachment notice after 6-week ultimatum. And opposition senators stage walkout on Lawan for reneging on collective decision. Adeyemi, ultimatum or collective decision of Senate. And federal government threat to abduct Buhari, laughable propaganda. FCTA directs Abuja private schools closure. NYSC begs army for deployment of soldiers to orientation camps. And Nigeria has a lazy, uncaring commander-in-chief, says Odin Kalu. Those are the riders supporting the major headline on the front page of The Guardian. Going down the front page, right below there, Kachuku unveils Ahmed Buhari as running mate. And still talking politics, Oko's presidential nomination yet to be ratified, Khan clarifies. And on health matters, 91 million Africans infected with deadliest strains of hepatitis that is attributed to the WHO. And terrorists kill 3, kidnap 25 in Kaduna and Niger. Going scrolling through the right below the masthead there, INEC recovers voter cards found in Bielsa Forest. Details of that on page 27. And Senate summons CBN governor as Naira breaks 700 Naira ceiling. Now, these are the major headlines on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning.
We would now take a short breather. When we return, we have a reviewer in the house to look at the in-depth of what the papers are saying this morning. Please stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that a look at the situation,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
because I have said that.
Welcome back to Daybreak on Trust Television. We are now joined by our reviewer for the day, a friend and a regular in the house, if you follow Daybreak on Trust Television. And I'm talking about Mr. Salmon Salami, Media Director, Justice Pen Alliance, who joins us this morning. It's a pleasure to have you.
Sonny, thank you very, very much.
Let me put it on record here that despite his age and position in this profession, we came in and met that he was already waiting for us in the studio. And I think that is a commendable attitude. It's exemplary for those of us who are coming behind. And I want to thank you for the sacrifices that you make to be here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sonny.
We will start with what appears to be the major offering on most of the paper today. We saw the senators for once. Well, not all of them, if you like, carry out some kind of demonstration in a bid to, in what appears to be like the circumstances catching up with them, you know, calling for the president impeachment and all of the things that happened yesterday. And we saw the response immediately from the presidency to calling it a babyish attempt by the opposition. We live in this city. I know what hell it has been moving around in the last couple of days, especially if you have to access anywhere around outside the city center with massive security checkpoints, massive security patrol. Do you think that what we saw yesterday from the National Assembly, as reported today, was misplaced in the face of the kind of response we're getting from the presidency?
Well, good morning, the Senate.
Good morning.
I will just say that it is nice that they have just woken up. Perhaps it's because it's now happening in Abuja. Because this is what every Nigerian have already seen. And if because they came for you, came for your friend, and it wasn't you, you feel that, yes, after all, I'm not bothered. They came for another friend of yours. You still feel that, well, nothing to worry about. When they come for you, there will be nobody to be for you. The truth about this insecurity thing is that it is not only alarming, it is getting out of hand, if it has not gotten out of hand already. And for whatever it is worth, let us commend those who have the courage to speak truth to power. I'm surprised that my brother Lai Mohammed, in his characteristic manner, still feels that this is a charade, this is propaganda, and this is idiotic. It is sad, really sad. Nigerians are no more safe. That is the truth. And they have taken the battle right to our doorstep here in Abuja.
But a lot of people are actually of the opinion that had it been Abuja was not now the center or the center of attention when it comes to the insecurity due to the recent threats and what, had it been that's not been the case, the Senate would not have reacted, because insecurity has been here for a very long time. People have been killed, kidnapped, and in different parts of the country for a while now, and the Senate hasn't made any steps. So a lot of people doubted the sincerity of the Senate in coming out now to say that, okay, fine, we are going to give the president an ultimatum because of the Kuchi and Buhari incident.
Are you surprised? I've been telling people, whoever cares to listen, that no rich man will fight another rich man because of a poor man. If he fights his fellow rich man, not because of the poor man, it's because his interest has been threatened. For whatever it is, he's just using the poor man as a cannon fodder. These people, the truth be told, they are utterly insensitive and they are self-centered. Poor Nigerians, over the years, have been kidnapped, have been raped, have been victims of banditry. Look at this Abuja-Kaduna train thing. Those who have been, who have managed to secure their release, who are now free, have you seen any poor man amongst them? It is either the MD of a bank of agriculture or this or that. The truth is this: at the end of the day, the poor must know that there is no difference between a poor man in Kano and a poor man in Abeokuta. They are united by poverty, and they have a common enemy. That common enemy is this unfeeling, self-centered elite, and they must deal with them with their PVC. The impeachment of the threat or the alleged impeachment or the move to impeach the president, it is what I will term as Baba Salah kind of awada keri. Deep down inside them, they know that they can't do it. They are not even ready to do it. It's just to say that, well, let us pretend that we are serving notice.
Interesting there to see that after all of what we saw, that the Senate immediately took flight. Well, I wouldn't call it a pretense by announcing a recess. Only God knows how long. At a time when it does appear that we are in an emergency.
Well, they did say they will reconvene if there's an emergency.
I mean, as if to say we are not in an emergency already. We are not in an emergency already. You talked about time to deal with these people with CVR. It's 4 days. We are seeing last-minute rush, 3 days actually, last-minute rush. We saw some updates from INEC telling us about 11 million new registrants on board and all of that. What is your evaluation of how this whole exercise has progressed? And what's your take on the numbers that we have been able to bring on board as new registrants for the next election?
Truth be told, Nigerians are getting more concerned about what happens around them. No doubt about that, as evidenced by what happened in Osun State. They have served notice too, that it's not going to be business as usual. And this is a good development for this country, in that the so-called politicians will no more take people for granted. And I want to believe that they will be more alive to their responsibilities. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. This is just the beginning of a journey. We have not reached the destination. What if you have your voter's card and you still compromise? They come to you, you take 5,000, you take 2,000, you do this, you compromise. I pray that the real people, the concerned people, the poor people of this country, the hewers of wood and fetchers of water will know that in the ultimate, power belongs to them and they should use it judiciously.
Well, a lot of people are actually of the opinion that registering and getting your PVC is one thing, and then coming out to vote on the day of election is another thing. So it's not by the numbers of registrations that we have or the numbers of registrants that we have. It's actually the people that really turn out to vote at the end of the day that matter. And a lot of people are actually of the opinion that due to one reason or the other, there's a high level of voter apathy in a lot of places, and a lot of people actually believe that it doesn't really make much of a difference whether I vote or not. And that might affect the turnout of the elections at the end of the day.
That's a sad point. It is a very, very sad point in that the political parties and INEC, they are shirking their responsibility. What do I mean? There's the need for aggressive voters' education. Perhaps Professor Mahmoud should be watching this. There is the need for INEC to embark on aggressive voters' education. There's a party, no doubt about that. There is a party, no doubt about that. That is where I agree with you that perhaps it is not enough to register. You must come out to vote. Not only to vote, to know why you are voting and who you are voting for. Because there is the need for voters too, to know how to do these things so that your vote doesn't become invalid. If you look at the number of invalid votes, it is alarming. And this boils down to the fact that there is the need for aggressive voters' education. And I hope the real beneficiary of everything are the political parties. And they don't even care about that, thinking that they can always either cut corners, rig, or, as Donald Duke said the other time, that they know how they do their thing.
Interesting. One of the stories we saw making the rounds on the number of front pages this morning is the alarm by the House of Reps, I think, about 16 states risking a major food crisis. Apparently because for the sake of insecurity, these farmers are unable to access farmlands. I mean, even when they could access farmlands, we barely had enough, which impacted cost of food prices and thereby worsening our inflation situation. What's your perspective? What's your take on this imminent food crisis?
We have a very major problem in our hands now because food, no doubt, is very, very key to human existence. And you see, they are interwoven, they are interlinked. Because where there is insecurity, farmers will not be too willing to go to the farm. We have seen instances of kidnapping even on the farm. You remember the case of Olufalai, right on his farm. So, gone are the days when if you are traveling along the road, you see farmers displaying products and their food. You discover that you even finish spending your money before you know it. Honestly, you can travel from here to Jos, you won't even see banana again. That's just to show you that things are getting worse. And our government seems to be insensitive to all these things. The major cause of all this problem is the insecurity. Fix that one. Nigeria will bounce again.
Okay. I'm talking about the sensitivity or otherwise of government. ASU strike has been going on for a couple of months now. We've seen some protests that were held in solidarity by the NLC. And I just saw a headline on one of the dailies, I think it's the Nation newspaper, where NLC and, of course, ASU themselves are adamant about the whole situation, saying that they are not going to shift position and that they are ready to continue the industrial action for 2 years. What is your perspective on that?
My brother, I'm afraid for this country. Come to think of it, these are our so-called leaders and elites. They are unfeeling. That is the truth. Wike went to University of Exeter to celebrate the graduation of his son. Not just quite a few days ago, Bajabi Amila was in Harvard, and he was even flaunting it. What again do you need? To know that these people do not take the children of the poor seriously. They don't care about their education. Of course, they feel that they are just good for being used on the election and dump them after. If not for that, I think that by now, 6 months, and we are still counting, for Christ's sake. 6 months. You mean you can shut the doors of universities, campuses for 6 months and feel it's okay? Honestly, it's not okay.
I mean, talking about shutting the doors, just I think it was last week that the president gave a marching order and gave a 7-day ultimatum. And I mean, it's been 7 days or more. We have not seen any movement, not some kind of committee, a high-powered delegation from the federal government meeting with the people from ASU. We have not seen an offer and a counter-offer or a rejection. Typical of what we used to see in the days of Obasanjo when there are critical strikes. In fact, the media will keep vigil till the dead of the night. They go in, they make submissions, these people take it back to their Congress, they return back to the meeting and drag for another 2-3 hours. Everybody is awake waiting for that, the announcement of the outcome or a give and a take and a shift in position by both parties. We have not seen anything. We have not heard even from the primary minister of education on what has happened, what offers they have made, what has been rejected or what is not. I mean, you've talked about laxity on the part of these people. Is there nothing else we can do other than these strikes? What else, how else can we communicate to these people that this situation is not acceptable?
I have tremendous respect for President Muhammadu Buhari. In actual fact, some of my friends always taunt me by telling me that change. I still believe that Baba is good for this country at this time. But unfortunately, I don't like a dog that will only bark but will not bite. But because there seems to be no consequence.
And he makes pronouncement.
That is why all these things are happening. Imagine the president of Nigeria giving his ministers instruction that do this, do that. And yet, it will not happen and nothing will happen to these ministers. In the last 7 years, which minister has Baba sacked? For either incompetence or... So they feel that, well, nothing will happen. And where there is no consequence, laws become impotent laws. Even words become a mere bruise word. It is unfortunate that we are here. This, with due respect, is not the Baba Buhari I knew in 1983. Even though people will tell you that it was a Diagmo that did the work, it is not true. It was a joint thing. What is happening, only Baba Buhari can tell us.
All right. Well, let's move on to something a little bit more positive. I should say. I saw a headline on one of the dailies. I think it's Daily Independent to carry the story of Air Nigeria. It said it's coming on stream, and the government has given approval for 3 aircrafts to be leased for the national carrier. What impact, what difference will having a national carrier now make for the aviation industry that seems to be in a crisis? That seems to be in a crisis.
With no end in sight.
Exactly. Because I would think that maybe trying to resolve the aviation fuel issue would be should take higher priority than saying that we're going to bring up the national carrier thing, because the Air Nigeria thing has been there for a very long time and it's coming on stream now, and we're going to lease 3 aircrafts. So is that going to have any major impact on the aviation industry?
Well, if a tree falls on another tree, the one you first lift is the one on top. It's unfortunate that this thing is happening this way. But whether you like it or not, we need a national carrier. And that is the pride.
Do we need it now?
Not now. Not now. I don't think it is appropriate now, or that I won't say it's a misplacement of priority now. We need it, quite right. But the first thing first, they should have fixed the crisis in the aviation industry. But give it to my good friend, brother, Captain Musanu, DG of NCA, and Senator Adi Sirika, who is a consummate patriot. No doubt about that. It's just that we should challenge them to do more. And perhaps do the first thing first. But definitely, there is need for a national carrier. We need it. It's the pride of our nation.
Interesting. Ibrahim called it a positive news. Maybe we are back again in the realms of the negative news because they seem to be there, and they've made most of the headlines. The crash of the Naira in the last 1 week, it has taken a complete flight. Well, some are putting it on the stables of the CBN governor. I don't think the central bank manufactures its own dollar to be able to control something that is an external force. There's also the failure of government on the fiscal side to do anything to attract more income into this economy. But where are we going with all of this? Everything seems to be flying out of the window at the same time. We are fighting to get aviation fuel. We are struggling to get fuels to move our vehicles around. We are even battling insecurity on the one hand. The dollar is taking a free fall on the other.
The price of bread has risen.
Oh my!
Yeah, of course.
Oh my! I mean, and that comes with it the increase in the price of several other things.
Exactly.
Is there any hope for the common man?
There is. I'm an incurable optimist. If there is no hope, well, what is the need for us to remain alive? There is hope. There is hope for the common man. There is hope. But I must confess to you that a consumer nation will witness all this. Where are the factories in Kaduna? The flour mill, the textile industry. There are, in fact, since we are not productive again, I would rather say that this so-called crude oil is more of a cost to this country than a blessing. And like I always say that may Almighty Allah forgive me. The problem of this country can even be traced to Almighty God. If you pamper a child too much, chances are that child will not be useful to you. God has blessed this country. There's no state in this country that doesn't have one mineral resource or one something that you can tap into and make money. If your son sees your first account and sees 5 billion, second account 10 billion, third account 8 billion. You went to UK, it was in your house. You stayed in the US, it was in your house. And one day you call your son and say, Junior, I want to tell you something. Say what? Say, you need to be serious. You need to be very serious. Are you talking? Serious so that what can happen? Tell me, serious so that what can happen? Thinking to the Oibos is a matter of life and death. Their existence depends on thinking. It's not a choice. Because, for example, no mad person in Africa, so to speak, will die of hunger. Why? Roaming the forest. When it's time for pawpaw, he throws it around, come there some years back, some cashew, the same thing. Whereas in their own climate, in the Western world, you dare not put anything on the soil before doing soil test. Meaning that they have to think that their life, existence, everything depends on thinking. No natural, in Africa here, most of the disasters are man-made disasters. No natural disaster. But in their own climate, so many natural disasters, they have to keep on thinking. What I'm saying in effect is that unless we begin to think and be productive, Naira will still fall. you have not seen the end to the fall.
Well, we do hope to see the end to the fall very soon.
Wishful thinking.
Exactly. Well, you are an incurable optimist.
Well, it's
maybe
good for all of us.
Your optimism is rubbing off for me. Okay. All right, so that's how we're going to wrap up the newspaper review segment on a Daybreak this morning. Mr. Salami will still remain with us to discuss our main topic for today. We do appreciate you being here, and we appreciate you still staying with us as well. So we are going to take a short break right now, and when we return, the program continues. Do stay with us.
When a situation where you find that a person look at the same,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
because I have said that